know full well there is no way for them legally to really enforce this. And on top of that, they do not have the manpower, right, to investigate and prosecute. The entire agenda, the whole executive order, is being done and directly aimed at liberals, Democrats, independents, basically anyone that isn't for Trump, okay? So you have to understand the goal is fear, all right? So let's walk through it. Let's talk about what it is, what it isn't. Okay, so what is NSPM 7? The National Security Presidential Memorandum on Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence. All right. And it orders agencies like the DOJ, FBI, Homeland Security, etc., even the good old IRS, to crack down on what it considers organized political violence. And domestic terrorism. And I do want to say that I find it sort of funny that they're only pointing to things like the Charlie Kirk assassination, the attempted assassination of Trump, riots in LA and Portland, though there were never really riots, and perceived attacks on ICE facilities, aka Americans demonstrating the First Amendment rights. Okay, so the memo basically directs those federal agencies to go after the networks behind this stuff. I mean, can they go after Fox News, or what about all the right-wing extremists that are out here killing people? I guess that's okay. They want them to look at recruitment, radicalization, doxing, swatting, riots, and of course, even funding sources. And yes, that means that the IRS can dig into tax-exempt groups. But don't worry, they're not coming after the churches. So in other words, any NGO or any organization that they think are bankrolling radicalization, aka independent thought, they can surveil you. And this is my personal favorite part. This is where it gets real spicy. The ideologies that it lists as red flags. I mean, here it is. These indicia of terrorism include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christian views. Oh wait, I'm not done. Support for overthrowing the U.S. government. You mean like January 6th? I guess that doesn't count. Extremism on migration, race, or gender. So like if you hold independent thoughts that you think those people, right, immigrants, women, and minorities, and people in the LGBTQ community shouldn't be treated like shit, you're a domestic terrorist. And this has to be my personal favorite. Hostility towards traditional views on American families, religion, and morality. So yeah, being anti-capitalist or tweeting out that modern family values are outdated, boom, that's now a terrorism indicator. Okay, but before you get your britches in a wad, let's talk about what it isn't, okay? NSPM 7 is not a law. It's an executive order, okay? No new crimes, no new penalties. Sorry, not sorry, dump, but in this country, you can't be prosecuted simply for being anti-capitalism or anti-Christian, no matter what he wrote in his little big boy book. First Amendment still protects your speech. And courts, no matter how corrupt they are, would absolutely smack down attempts to basically jail people simply for their speech. What it does is to tell their goons at the federal agencies to use the existing laws that are on the books and use them in a more harsh way. Conspiracy, assault, terrorism funding, RICO, that sort of thing. So now the question that everybody's asking, right? If it doesn't change the law, why does this feel so terrifying? Because the language that's being used is vague on purpose. Anti-Americanism, extreme views on race and gender. Guys, that could mean basically anything. A climate protest, immigration advocacy, fucking TikTok, roasting capitalism, basically everything on my entire page. Suddenly, you're in the pre-crime zone. I guess it's like a gateway drug to becoming a full-fledged woke liberal. And this memo tells these agencies to disrupt the plots before they begin. So in other words, like if you were thinking about having an independent thought, don't do that. Meaning that they might poke into your social media posts, your funds, and let's say you had a nonprofit, they could poke into that. If you made it this far in the video, drop the secret words, "I will not consent" in advance in the comments section. And don't forget to like, repost, and follow along for updates. And you guys might want to go follow me over on YTube in case these videos suddenly go missing. So let's cut the shit. What this is an all-out war on anybody who is Trump's opponent. Because it basically weaponizes counterterrorism against any kind of dissent. Think about it. If your belief on secular schools or immigration reform gets you flagged, even when you're peaceful and it's just a thought, that's intimidation by design. And I want to be real clear here. Intimidation is the real power here. because this NSPM doesn't rewrite the rule book, it just chills free speech. People think out twice before speaking out or donating to a cause, showing up at a protest, because who the fuck wants to be labeled a domestic terrorist? I mean, I'm not a Proud Boy. And I don't know if anybody that's MAGA is watching this, but democracy is inherently anti-fascist, so just so you know. So bottom line, you cannot be jailed simply for holding anti-Christian or anti-American beliefs. The law still requires evidence of a crime. But that said, of course, NSPM's little dictate there is going to create fear. And fear silences people faster than any laws ever could. So you guys tell me, is this a genuine attempt to fight crime? Or is it a political weapon being used to scare dissenters into silence?